In my late 20s, I moved a few towns over for work. The experience went fairly smooth, I thought. I settled in at my new job really well, and I managed to find a decent apartment quickly and move what little I had into it. The building was small, just 6 units and only 2 per floor, so essentially there was just a flight of stairs going up to each story, where there were 2 doors across from each other for the 2 rooms on each floor. I was on the top story, and the woman who lived across from me was the one who gave me the tour. I think she owned a couple units in the building. The woman was older than me, I think around 45, and she wasn't friendly or unfriendly. She was very non-expressive, sort of monotone, and didn't seem to care about her appearance either. She had long, shaggy hair and a tired, mute look over her face every time I saw her. The apartment room was nice enough for me to not care, though. Honestly, I thought I'd never really see her anyway, but I couldn't have been more wrong. On my first full day of work after the move, I came home late at 8 p.m., heading up the stairs and found the woman standing outside the door to my room. I was so tired from the long day, and also not expecting to see her, that I couldn't form a sentence. I definitely made things a bit awkward, as she looked at me with that dead stare she always had, and then she asked if this was when I usually got home from work. I thought that was an odd question, but I just said I wasn't too sure because I'd just started the job recently. Without even acknowledging my answer, she turned, opened her door, walked into her room, and slammed the door shut behind her. I didn't know if she was meaning to have that much attitude, or if she was mad at me for some reason, but I just headed inside my unit. I was too tired to give it much thought, and didn't even make dinner before falling asleep. I must have slept pretty good, because I was passed out until 6 a.m. when I was woken abruptly by a loud knock at the door. I jumped out of bed, completely dazed and startled by it. The knocks kept coming, so I had no choice but to walk over and open the door. The woman was standing there, looking the same as always, almost like a walking corpse. "Can I help you?" I said groggily, still trying to wake up. She made this really strange smile, surely fake, and asked a really weird question. She wanted me to come over to her place after work tonight. There was still no emotion in her voice, which gave it a really unsettling feeling. Something wasn't right about this. I didn't know exactly what she meant by coming over after work, like dinner or what, but I tried to be nice and said I was just going to be busy. Without any further response, she again turned around and went back into her room, slamming the door shut. It being 6 a.m. already, I figured I'd just stay up and get ready for work. I left the apartment at 8 and got home at 7. Thankfully, the woman wasn't outside my door, so this time I was able to get into my unit and rest without any weird conversations. I really wasn't sure what was up with her. I didn't feel worried, more just weirded out by her behavior. Anyway, I made dinner and got in bed at 10. I had my alarm set for 6:45, but was again woken abruptly to pounding at the front door. I got up, already sure who it was. I opened the door, and standing right there was the same woman with the same dull face. And even more strange, the conversation went nearly the exact same as it did the previous morning. She asked the same thing, for me to come over to her place after work, and I made the same excuse. She went back into her apartment and slammed the door, and I was left just confused and uneasy about the whole thing. Her lack of emotions made it impossible to decipher what she was really meaning by doing all this. I stayed up, having a small breakfast, and then heading to work. The day was long, once again, staying in the office until at least 8, but probably closer to 8:30. I didn't make it back to the apartment until 9:15. The whole lot was empty and quiet. Nobody outside, and all the lights in the building were off, as most people were probably getting in bed by then. I hoped this meant the woman wouldn't bother me tonight, and I could just slip in unnoticed. I parked and got inside, going up the stairs and trying not to be too loud. When I got up to my room, she wasn't there. I sighed in relief and put my key in the door, but something was off. It was already unlocked. I froze for a second, the realization hitting me. She had to be the only other person that could unlock it, but still, in the moment though, I couldn't fully believe it. I mean, the lady was creepy and all, but surely not that creepy. There was no way this was as bad as I was thinking. I opened the door, and I noticed something felt weird about the doorknob as well, but I didn't pay attention, as I had a more pressing situation I was focused on. The door closed behind me as I took a few steps into my apartment. The lights were all off, just like I left them, but my bedroom door was open. I could hear my heart beating as I walked up and looked into my room. The woman was standing next to my bed, her face mostly covered by shadows, but I could still see the dull, emotionless expression she had. I started to mutter, "What are you doing?" But I stumbled over my words when I glanced down at the kitchen knife in her hand. After the moment of shock, I ran for the door. I grabbed the handle and tried to swing it open, but almost lost my footing as I wasn't expecting it to not budge. It was stuck in the doorway. The knob wouldn't even move. I immediately knew the woman had rigged the door so it'd lock me inside with her. In that moment, I suddenly felt adrenaline fill me, and rather than being scared, I was pissed off at whatever this psycho lady was doing. She came at me, still holding the knife, but I don't think she was expecting a fight, because I was very easily able to catch her off guard and get the knife away from her. I held her down and called the police, keeping her under control until they got there. It was only after they got her in handcuffs that I noticed she'd actually gotten a quick slash on the back of my arm. Nothing too bad, but once the adrenaline was gone, it wasn't exactly painless. Anyway, she apparently had some serious disorders and wasn't taking the proper medication for the last several months, leading to her having an episode. That was the excuse I got from her family, but it didn't really change anything. In the end though, everything worked out okay. I was able to handle myself and didn't have any lasting impacts from the whole ordeal. It definitely could have been 1,000 times worse though.